Hi guys, welcome to my channel ZIBAKERIZ, where I share with you how to create beautiful decorated cakes, cupcakes, and so much more. So let's get started. Over here I have some lemon cupcakes that I've baked in these cupcake liners, and I will try to leave a link in the description box down below for something similar. So what we're going to do first is create a crumb coat on these cupcakes. So over here I have some American buttercream in a bowl. You don't need too much, and I'm also going to need this tapered spatula, and I'm going to use this basically to help me crumb coat the top layer of my cupcakes. So you don't need too much, you just need a thin layer, and we're just going to take a generous amount and we're just going to create this back and forth motion and kind of create a crumb coat on top of these cupcakes. And I'm going to use the edge of the cupcake liner to kind of help me create that smooth top. So this is a similar technique that I showed in a previous video that I posted a few weeks earlier, which was for the spring cupcakes, where I did the light blue buttercream drop flowers. So this is something very similar, since you guys enjoyed something simple and easy to create. So this is a very similar concept to that. So now, taking the acetate sheet, I'm just going to go ahead and smooth off the top layer of my cupcake using the acetate sheet. Then you just want to take the excess buttercream and scrape that against the side of your bowl, and then using the acetate sheet, we're just going to clean up the sides of our cupcakes as a cupcake liner as well. At this point, we have a nice smooth top and finished crumb coated layer for our cupcakes. So we're going to go ahead and continue this process on all of the other cupcakes. So I'm just going to speed up the process and show you what I'm doing on all of them. So again, you just want to add a crumb coat thin layer of buttercream on top of all of my cupcakes. Once we've done that, then we're going to go ahead and use the acetate sheet to kind of get rid of any of that excess buttercream and give us a nice smooth finish. And then for the last step, we're just going to use that same acetate sheet and we're just going to clean up the sides of our cupcake liners. So you just want to do that nice and carefully. At this point, all of our cupcakes have been crumb coated and they have a nice smooth finish. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you the buttercreams that I'm using. So if you guys watched my previous YouTube videos, I had a lot of leftover buttercream in my piping bag, so I decided to mix all of the reds and the pinks together and the orange to achieve the fuchsia color, and then I mixed all of the yellow and greens to get this beautiful leaf green color. So it is a very good technique to not waste buttercream, and the fuchsia color happened to match my cupcake liner, so it worked out. But if you aren't getting the color that you want after mixing all of those colors, you can always build up your color to achieve the color you want as well. So the piping tips that I'm going to use is this Wilton tip number 2D, which is a drop flower, as well as this Wilton tip number 366, which is a leaf tip. So I am still showing this in the video, but I will not be using this specific leaf tip because it was a little too big for my cupcakes, and I'll show you the one that I'll use a little later on. So over here I have a piping bag, and I'm going to take the Wilton tip number 2D, and I'm just going to drop that all the way to the front of my piping bag. Then, using my scissors, I'm just going to score the front part of my piping bag, just so I know exactly where to cut the tip of my piping bag from. You just want to cut that and push your piping tip forward. Then you're just going to carefully take your piping bag, and what you want to do is you want a large cup, and you're just going to fold the edge of your piping bag around that large cup. You want to make sure that it has a nice opening so that you can see the piping tip through. So this is another technique to be able to get those beautiful two-tone drop flowers on your cupcakes. So I'm just going to take my buttercream as well as this tapered spatula. You just want to make sure that you are using the one that's narrow on the front and kind of widens at the back. This is going to give us more control when we are applying our buttercream in the piping bag, just so we can get as close to the tip as possible. So this isn't a difficult process, just a little time consuming. So this is basically another method to be able to get those beautiful two-tone drop flowers on your cupcakes. The spring cupcake video, I also showed another method to get those two-tone drop flowers, which was using that form of a log and then dropping that inside of the piping bag. That technique allows you to be able to add, if you run out of buttercream, to basically just repurpose the same piping bag. With this technique, it's a little bit more difficult, so when you do run out of your two-tone drop flower buttercream, you're going to have to recreate that using this same technique. So it is, both of these techniques are really good. It's just a matter of preference which one you prefer to go with, but it is great to try both of them and see which one you enjoy creating those drop flowers with. So you can see that I have gone all the way around, and I've gradually taken this slowly adding more and more, layering more and more layers of that fuchsia buttercream on the sides of my piping bag. So at this point you can see that the center is still clean, and I have added a generous layer of buttercream on the sides. At this point I'm going to fill the center with some of that white buttercream. So you want to make sure that you are taking a nice generous amount of that buttercream and carefully just dropping that in the center. You want to make sure that you aren't scraping your spatula against the sides of your bowl, because that can cause you to blend the two colors together. So you just want to be careful with this process and drop the buttercream in the center. Now you're just going to carefully lift that up and then twist the back, and you can see at this point that we have the fuchsia on the side and the white in the center. So now we're going to go ahead and start decorating our cupcakes with the two-tone drop flower piping tip. So you're going to start off by applying some pressure and then kind of lifting up. So kind of apply pressure and then you can lift up, and you can kind of create this wiggle motion while you are kind of lifting your piping tip up. This is just going to give a little bit more of a natural, realistic look to your drop flower. So you can see that it is nice and beautiful with that fuchsia color on the side, and then a beautiful white center in the center. So you can see that you're going to go all the way from the sides and then work your way towards the center, and you end up with these beautiful floral drop flower two-tone buttercream bouquets. So now I'm just going to go ahead and repeat this process on all the other cupcakes. So apply pressure and create this wiggle motion, and then you want to lift up, starting from the edge of your cupcake. And we're going to gradually work our way towards the center. So this process is a little similar to the spring cupcake that I showed you earlier, but with that I used a smaller drop flower, and I also created more of a higher dome with those cupcakes. With this one I use a larger piping tip, which is the Wilton Tip 2D, and it gives me a very nice full floral cupcake bouquet. So I originally had wanted to post this for Mother's Day, but unfortunately I was really busy. I wasn't able to. I was working on finishing up some of my online courses that I've been working really hard to create for you guys. So I was working on my tiered cake video, and I hope to launch my online courses very soon for you guys. I know I do get a lot of questions from you guys all the time, and when I do launch, I will share that news with all of you. Also, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the continuous love and support that you guys do give to me on my channel. It really means a lot to me. I don't get to respond to each of the comments that you guys leave on my channel, but I do read each one, and I'm very grateful for the community that I have here. Now back to the video. So I did start to run out of the two-tone buttercream flower, so I had to remake a new bag, and I also felt like the colors were starting to blend a little bit. So because of that, I wanted to create a new bag where the colors were still nice and defined. So again, we're going to follow that same method where we're going to apply some pressure, create this kind of wiggle motion, and then lift up. You want to start from the edge of your cupcake liner and then gradually work towards the center. You can get about 3 to 4 of those drop flowers in the center as well. So now we're working on our last one. Again, create that little wiggle motion and lift up, and you're going to go all the way around the edges and then gradually work towards the center, and you're going to end up with these beautiful floral cupcake bouquets. I find them to look very nice with these two colors, but you can honestly work around and play around with the different types of colors you want as well, and you're going to end up with these beautiful two-tone floral cupcake bouquets. At this point, I'm really happy with the way all of these beautiful drop flower bouquets look like, and I'm just going to go ahead and add some final touches, which is the leaves. So as I mentioned earlier, I said I was going to use that 366 piping tip, but instead I've added a coupler to one of my piping bags, and I have my bowl of my green buttercream that I got from the yellow and green buttercream from my previous video. And the piping tip that I'm using is a Wilton tip number 352. I didn't want to go ahead with the Wilton tip number 366, which was a very large leaf tip. This has the same shape, which is the diamond or the beak shape, but it is slightly smaller, which is the Wilton tip number 352, and I find that this size is perfect for the floral cupcake bouquets. So I'm just going to take my piping bags and I'm just going to fold them over the edge of my large cup, and now you're just going to carefully take your green buttercream and you're just going to fill the piping bag with this green buttercream. So take a generous amount and you just want to fill that in your piping bag. And then while you're not using your green buttercream, you just want to cover that up with some plastic wrap so it doesn't create any crust. So now you lift your piping bag and push all of that buttercream towards the tip. At this point, I'm going to add my piping tip to my piping bag. So you just want to untwist that second piece of your coupler, fit your piping tip on top, and then using that ring, you just want to twist that back on top of your piping bag. Once it is nice and secured, you're going to hold your piping tip in the form of that beak. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some pressure against the sides of our cupcake liner and then create this back and forth kind of wiggle motion. And we're going to get our leaves. So apply pressure, create this back and forth wiggle motion, and then pull outwards, and you get these very beautiful leaves. So I'm just going to create these leaves kind of on the edge of my cupcake bouquet. I'm not going to fill it in the center, so just adding it to the edge of my cupcake bouquet. So I'm just adding 1 or 2 around the edge. So for this one, I added them very synchronized around the edges of my cupcake bouquet. For all the other bouquets, you kind of just want to play around with it and naturally add the leaves wherever you feel like they look nicer. So over here, I'm just going to add 1 large one on one side. And I'm just going to add another one nice and close to it. So this basically makes it look a little bit more natural wherever you're placing the leaves, just giving some of them more of larger leaves. Some of those bouquets are going to have smaller leaves, and you just want to randomly add leaves at the edge of all of your cupcake bouquets. These are going to make them look nice and elegant and look really beautiful, and kind of just enjoy the process. Don't overthink the process. If you don't want to add leaves, you don't have to, but I find that this does make them look a little bit more natural and elegant. These cupcakes are very beautiful but very easy to recreate, which is why I shared them with all of you guys. But if you guys do have any suggestions for videos you guys would like to see from me, whether that be cake videos, cupcakes, or sweet treats, or even more buttercream floral videos, please leave in the description box below. I love hearing your suggestions, and I would love to create lessons and record things that you guys would love to see from me. These cupcakes are also very good for using them for any sort of bridal shower or for something like weddings. So if there is like a series maybe you guys would like to see for wedding cupcakes, maybe I can do that for you guys. I really do enjoy hearing your suggestions, and I would love to be able to create something you guys would love to see from me. So I would like to make note of those and kind of create those in my future videos for all of you guys. So at this point, you can see I am creating these leaves, arranging them in different places just to make the bouquets look nice and natural, adding 3 leaves in certain areas, adding 1 a little bit far away from one another. And this is what's going to create a beautiful, nice, ruffled flower bouquet cupcakes for us. These buttercream floral cupcake bouquets are easy and they are not difficult to recreate, and they would fit perfectly for any event. You just have to play around with the different colors. And at this point, I'm really happy with the way these beautiful floral cupcake bouquets turned out. You can see that the 2-tone colors look very beautiful using this specific technique, and you can see that it works really nice with the cupcake liners that I've used. So you can do that with the specific event you're hosting it for as well. You can just match your cupcake liners to your buttercream flowers as well and make your cupcake bouquets super fancy as well. So at this point, I'm really happy with the way these beautiful floral cupcake bouquets turned out. I hope you guys found this video tutorial helpful, and if you do recreate these creations, please tag me on social media. I love seeing your recreations. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in my next video.